It's lovely to see some familiar faces. Beth, I love this top. Where did you get it? Because it is fantastic.
It's from Rio, of course.
Oh, and those are plants on your sleeves and everything?
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, we got someone in the chart in the chat also loving from Rio. Yeah. They have great prints. Yeah, really great prints.
Okay, I'm immediately going to just like dive into a shop and rip my wallet after this.
Yeah.
Welcome to Manager Book Club. You're all here because we're going to be chatting about The Making of a Manager by Zhuo. If you haven't read it, no worries. We go over the big level concepts, so you'll definitely be able to still participate and join in on the conversation. While we're waiting for folks to trickle in, I'd love to make two announcements. First, we have the Manager Book Club Slack group that is officially live. I'm throwing it into the meeting chat. If you haven't joined it already, please do so. It becomes our source of truth and just kind of central community hub for all things related to this book club. And you'll be able to meet and continue the conversation well after these little sessions. So feel free to join that. And second, I'd love to hear how everybody's doing. So feel free to check in, a quick little green, yellow, red. Green is great, yellow, okay, red, terrible. Let's see how folks are feeling. I'll start off first. I'm a little bit Lyme. I've been coming in and out of like migraine territory, and I'm realizing just how important it is for me to have more than 7 hours of sleep. Cruel, cruel world. So yeah, I'm getting some greens in the chat. Sunny, why are you checking in green today?
Yeah. One, you deserve more than 7 hours of sleep. So let's start there. Two, I got more than 7 hours of sleep, and the sun is out here in Portland, Oregon. So really, sunshine can make a difference.
Absolutely. I definitely do deserve 7 hours of sleep. I did this to myself because I'm addicted to The Sims 4. That is my like guilty pleasure revealed to everybody. So that's why I stay up very late. Georgia, I saw you checked in a yellow. Any idea why you're feeling yellow today?
Yeah, I think just after the kind of bank holiday yesterday, had a lot to do today and didn't get everything done that I wanted to. And so sometimes taking that extra time to like really sharpen the saw and take this hour instead of just going through the to-dos definitely put me a little bit out of yellow, but I'm super excited to be here.
Amazing. And yeah, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here as well. Super excited for the conversations we'll have. We've had some very rich discussions in the previous session, so very excited for that. I absolutely love, Beth, your take on the kind of yellow, adding a little star element to it definitely makes it a little bit shinier. Any particular reason why you're feeling like shiny star yellow?
A lot of different things are asking for my focus today. So feeling that anxiety starting to creep in, but a lot of it's really positive things, but also wishing I gotten like a little bit extra sleep last night would have really moved me into that green territory.
Definitely feel that. Janella, I saw that you marked yourself as green. Any reason why you're green?
Yeah, I mean, everything's relative, right? Last week was really shitty, and this week, not as shitty. So yeah, my dog is feeling a lot better. So yeah, I mean, it's all relative, right? Who knows what's gonna happen, but I also played 2 soccer games last night and I did not hurt myself, so this was good. So yeah, I got all those happy hormones in me.
Amazing. What's the position you play on the team?
Gosh, defensive or wing. Like if they move fast enough, wing, but if they have nobody on defense, I will sit back there.
We love, honestly, sports can really change your entire day. So I love that you have like the active endorphins going through your veins right now. Amazing.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, Cambria, I noticed that you marked yourself also a shiny yellow star. Any particular reason why?
Oh my goodness. I think Beth and I are just kindred spirits today, because it's like today is not going so bad. I had a nice long weekend. I got outside. I'm feeling recharged, but the anxiety of the impending changes and things that are happening to come, right, can sometimes help you oscillate, right? So, but overall good, right? Because all change can typically correspond to positive outcomes.
Definitely. And yeah, I'm just going to leave us on that because that's such an inspiring note to leave on. Thank you for making the time to come to Manager Book Club. We're discussing Julie Zhuo's The Making of a Manager today, and I have some awesome little discussion questions for us to dive into. Some housekeeping things first, of course, an introduction. My name is Yen. I'm co-founder at Kona. I started this company with Sid and also our other co-founder, Andrew, back in early 2020. We were really passionate about leadership and just the ways that remote work can be a lot happier and healthier and more well connected. And so we started talking to whoever would talk to us, at this point, we've talked to over 1,000 remote managers. We've built a little company because of it. So very passionate about the subject and can talk until I'm blue in the face about it. I also am very passionate about plants, overalls, Sims 4, which has been revealed, I guess, accidentally. And yeah, ramen, very interested in ramen. As a matter of fact, I've been craving it all day. So maybe we'll make it out to go to my favorite ramen place tonight. Passing over to Sid.
Hey everyone, nice to meet you all. And thanks for taking the time to come join today. I'm Sid, co-founder, CEO of Kona. Yen shared a little bit about the story of the company. A bit about me, I'm currently based in New York City, but I split my time between New York and San Francisco. So I spend 9 months of the year in SF, 3 months in New York. I like hot summers. And so SF is, what's the Mark Twain quote? The coldest winter I've ever experienced was the summer in San Francisco. So I definitely, I grew up in warm places. I was born in Dubai, then lived in Hong Kong, then India, then LA. Yeah, I've lived around a bunch, love traveling, and I'm excited to be here, excited to meet you all.
Amazing. And yeah, I can't tell if there's an eyelash in my eye, so I will keep poking at it until I figure that out. But yeah, let's move on to the regularly scheduled programming. And then I'm just going to gently ask folks to mute if you're capable, and then we'll be able to kind of dive into the rest. Thank you so much. So yeah, big major announcement. We have a Slack now. It's a very big kind of development and part of a big labor of love as part of our team. We're super excited to create community well beyond these events that you have to attend and stuff. So we're super excited to continue the conversation over there. And we've already seen some wonderful intros. Some person inside the chat, I'm wondering if they're in this room, but they're actually like a statue, like the people that work on the pier that like act as a statue, and she has experience doing that. So for those things and some awesome other people, meet them inside our Slack community for sure. Link in the comments over there. We also want to do a quick little demo of the Kona features. You'll be able to explore a lot of the check-in feature functionality, but also more importantly, the AI leadership coach as well. Sid's going to give a quick little demo of how you can test that out and be one of our guinea pig beta users as well. So I'm going to stop sharing and pass it over to Sid.
Thanks, Yen. So a little bit of context. We interviewed hundreds of managers when we started the company, and we continue to talk to hundreds of them per year, including amazing folks like you all. And one of the things we keep hearing all the time is whether, especially when I'm a new manager, but in general, even whether I have 5-10 years plus of management experience, we hear all the time of, I keep running into these people problems with either cross-functional relationships or someone on my team is not performing, or there's a conflict within the team. That's kind of the name of the game of being a manager, right? And so but what we've built really is in collaboration with some of the top executive coaches, is an AI-powered leadership coach in Slack. So Kona now will function as beyond just the check-ins and getting feedback from your team and checking in on how people are feeling. It actually is your kind of private sounding board for talking through all the leadership problems that you might have. So really, you can just share with it what's going on your team, and it'll ask you good questions to try to get to the root of the issue, as well as give you advice on how you could approach the situation. I can share my screen and give you a quick demo of how this works, and then show you how to access it in the book club Slack. But basically, I used one of the situations for this demo that someone had shared in the book club, and they had shared that someone on their team had acknowledged that they want to do another role in a different team, and they've been unsuccessful, but they don't feel like they're looking elsewhere. They're happy to stay on this team, and the manager wanted to acknowledge the poor fit from their own side, and is a little bit worried about how to approach that conversation without crashing and burning. And so I just copy pasted that context, put it into Kona, and saw kind of what it said. And it gave me some good advice on how to approach this conversation in kind of a 5-step framework based on Fierce Conversations, which if you haven't read that book, you should. Maybe we'll do it for another version of the book club. I didn't feel like this was quite what I wanted. I wanted specific examples. So I asked for it. I said, could you give me specific examples of things I could say or how I could approach the conversation? And it kind of rephrased that feedback with specific examples of how I could approach it. And so now I have kind of a starting script of where I can go with this. And instead of having to sit down as a manager and figure out what to do or talk to HR or talk to my manager, I can kind of be self-reliant and figure this stuff out entirely by myself by having a 24/7 accessible, non-judgmental, safe sounding board to talk to. And if you want, you can kind of feed it things like prior performance reviews, one-on-one docs, company values. If people have written readmes or user manuals of how to work with them, it can ingest all of that context and give you even higher and higher quality advice. So in this case, it was able to actually kind of guide me on how to approach this specific situation. And I've used it a ton myself in giving feedback, knowing how to give feedback and learning where to get started with giving feedback to people on my team, even customers, and working with them through. It's not just feedback. It could be like, I want help drafting this email, or I want to make sure that I'm approaching this conversation the right way. If you want to get access to this, all you need to do is go into the Kona Manager Book Club. If you scroll down on the side, you can click on Kona, and then you just click on Start AI Coaching Session here. So it's available for everybody that's part of the book club community. It is a paid product, but in the book club Slack, it's still an early beta version right now. So it's still free to access for everybody. We'd love everyone's feedback on it. So yeah, please do check it out. Put a comment in the chat if you're interested in trying it out. I'm happy to jump on a call and give you a demo and get you set up with it. It takes a little bit of, while it's still an early product, it takes a little bit of finagling to learn how to get the most of it for your specific use case, but we have tons of experience helping customers through this. So we've had managers use it for all sorts of situations that they've run into, and it's been super helpful, and the feedback is initially really positive. So yeah, if you're interested, let me know. Happy to connect and separately and do a demo. And if you have any questions right now, happy to answer them as well.
Yay. Awesome. The next thing that we're going to do is take, oh, yeah, Sunny, go for it. Oh, you're muted.
I was going to say, if y'all have a prompt library, I know for people that may not have as much experience with AI, that would make them feel super like confident and excited of like, oh, I got the answers, I'm going in and I'm going to get what I need. So if you have a prompt library, that would be amazing. Just share with them.
Totally. Actually, we've tried to go one better, and you actually don't need to start with the prompt library. What it'll do is when you click on a start a coaching session, it'll ask you, and there's a few default situations that you can start with. So it'll ask you like, someone's not performing, or there's a conflict, or something's not doing well. And we're constantly adding to that default set of, like, I guess you could call it a prompt library that Kona starts with. And it'll ask you also, how much time do you have for the situation? So it'll construct the prompt in and of itself under the hood without you needing to worry about that.
That's huge and amazing. So we'll all be prompted. Perfect.
Amazing.
Exactly.
And this is a resource for you inside that book club Slack. All the more plug to join the Slack, join the community, and continue the conversation as we go on. We're going to do a group photo next. So if you aren't currently on camera, highly recommend you get on camera so you can prove that you're here. If you have the book, feel free to run and grab it. If you don't, you can pull out your phone with a screenshot of it, or just smile. Your beautiful smile is enough. So yeah, we'll just fix hair, do whatever you need to do. We'll take it in just a second. Yay. Okay, a lot of audiobook people. I love it. Okay, how are we doing? Anybody like need a minute? You can speak now.
If I could get a minute, then I will have the book.
Yeah.
But we don't have to wait.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries. Love it.
And I saw a couple of people in the chat interested in getting set up. I'll message you individually in the book club Slack, and we can get set up with a quick setup call.
Amazing. And just a quick shout out, Matt, Sarah, Sivan, if you want to get on camera to be part of the photo, feel free. If you don't feel like it, that's also okay. Okay, we're just gonna wait for her to grab her book really quick. Okay. Sweet. Yes, that works great, Matt. Awesome.
Was it more than a minute?
No, I think you did good. Okay. Books
All right.
up, smiles out.
3, 2, 1. You all look amazing.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you for your patience, and we'll dive into the regularly scheduled programming. So some container building, just some discussion rules that we like to do. First off, learning is uncomfortable. Embrace the suck, embrace the unknown. If you're uncomfortable, you're likely learning something great. Number two, assume positive intent. We're calling in from all sorts of different time zones and hours of sleep. So whatever happens, most likely positive intent was behind that, and usually folks don't intend anything malicious. Number three, acknowledge, validate, and create space for diverse perspectives. We brought you all here because you're fantastic leaders, and we're super excited to hear what you think. And number four, raise your hand when you like to speak. It is a little bit more of a larger group, and being able to make sure that we pace out the conversation would be amazing. So awesome. We have a packed schedule for you today. So first, we're going to dive into a second half review of just the concepts of the book and some of the key chapters, spark some discussions about various areas of leadership. Then we'll dive into a team culture workshop where we'll dive into some of the topics of chapter 10. And then finally, we have our manager roundtable where we'll actively go through different types of questions that you bring to the group, and you'll have other group members share some of their advice on that. If that sounds good, then we'll dive right in. Amazing. Okay. Second half of the book, and Julie basically ends the book with this awesome quote. When I look back on my management path thus far, it looks like a toddler's attempt to drawing a straight line. In another 10 years, I'll look back and realize the path I'm on today is still squiggly. I love this quote because even despite being a VP of design, despite talking to awesome leaders and really soaking in this material, Julie is still struggling with this 10 years later and will continue to struggle with it. That's just the nature of leadership. And so I think this humility is something we can all take with us, and just knowing if you're struggling, if it kind of sucks, that's kind of the point. And that's just the way that leadership is. And the fact that you're trying and still trying to get it right is testament in itself. So diving in, chapter 6 is all about amazing meetings. And Julie says this: meetings tend to have a bad rap, like they're the necessary evil of management or the grown-up equivalent of homework. At the end of the day, talking with someone face-to-face is still one of the best ways to communicate and get work done. So in this, she actually outlines a bunch of different meetings and their key outcomes, such as making a decision, sharing information, providing feedback, generating ideas, and building relationships. So I wanted to raise to the group, what is one meeting that you run regularly? What is its outcome? And what's one way you can make it 10% better? I can take probably 2 hands and then we'll move on to the next. So anybody have a meeting they want to share? Yep, Matt, go for it.
Yeah, so we have my organization, I'll say a pretty bad meeting culture, in that just way too many meetings, back to back, all day long, every day. And we've been really taking a hard look at it. And we came up with basically a kind of a rules of the road, reset things, and said, starting this year, making a real effort to do it. And the thing that's really changed from my perspective is the psychological freedom to cancel a meeting if you don't have an agenda, or not attend a meeting if there's no agenda. So just relieving people of that guilt has been a really big helper. Just it becomes the norm. If there's no agenda, we don't meet. And I decline meetings that don't have agendas, and there's no issue there. So that's been really helpful, because I think all these things are true about a meeting, but only if you really make them work. And part of that is an agenda. The other is 15-minute meetings have been a godsend. So just allowing people to jump in, have a discussion, and meeting the world where we're at, which is we're sitting here looking at this thing. We got to solve something. We need to talk to each other about it. It doesn't need to be an hour. Just target driven, but all surrounded by psychological safety of that sort of attendance idea. We also use the Microsoft Viva tools to look at meeting habits and meeting behaviors to decide if we are meeting too frequently with the same people, those kind of things. All the metrics that it provides in the analytics platform are really powerful if you look at them. So that was another driver.
Yeah, I love the idea of, one, agendas are mandatory, and I love the way that this is being reinforced by the different types of behaviors, and in effect, it's allowing folks to free themselves of those meetings. So it seems like a win-win across the board. Amazing. Anybody else have a meeting that they have, or a meeting culture that they have that they want to talk about? Nella, go for it.
I mean, so she did talk about the importance of one-to-ones, and that's something I make sure I do every week with every report. Luckily, I only have 5 of them, so it's not so bad. Some of them I can get done in 15 minutes because they're that efficient and they're super, I guess, self-directed. Other ones need literally like 90 minutes to emote everything out, right? To be able to kind of help them go through their frustrations, help them solve problems, or direct them how they might look at tackling the problem. But super invaluable to growing the relationship. I think most of them have been at the company just as long as I have, about 5 years or a little under. And so, you know, having that checkpoint every week, and it's just basically continual conversation on how they're doing and what they want out of their job, super important for that relationship building, for sure.
Love it. Definitely love it. And the idea of setting that kind of outcome, it's really interesting the difference it makes when it's self-directed. Your direct report has maybe an agenda versus when maybe you have to help them lead through the weeds, but that flexibility you give, I'm sure, pays off in dividends. Amazing. We're going to go to the next topic about hiring. So Julie says the most important thing to remember about hiring is this: hiring is not a problem to be solved, but an opportunity to build the future of your organization. I love this quote, and I also love the tips that she gives. I've tried to collect them here. Creating a hiring plan. She talks a lot about not shopping while hungry, essentially, not wanting to kind of just fill in the role because you need it so desperately, being precise with the role, managers' jobs being the kind of writing of the JD and capturing all the nuance. It's really crucial not to just put that all on a hiring manager. Then refining your hiring funnel, knowing that it's typically a numbers game and that you may need to send over 800 emails just to get one candidate. That's definitely something to factor in. Looking for advocates and being well aware of the weak hire, knowing that if there's nobody on the team that's really fighting for this person to be part of the team, that could be a signal in itself and something to pay attention to as you're running the hiring process. And finally, hiring those capable of more, folks that completely blow the job description out of the water and really transform the role just by being there. I wanted to ask, what is the hiring lesson that took you the longest to learn? I can probably take 2 hands here, and just super excited about your experience with hiring. I'm also going to bias towards folks that haven't spoken yet. So yeah, feel free. Go for it, Beth.
Thanks. Yeah, this is something that I'm actually doing right now as we're growing and building out our team, and have been working on over the past 6 months to a year, but kind of have been taking this on more directly more recently. And I think so, still learning a lot of lessons, but I think one that I've learned most recently, I think, is to kind of taking all the information, taking all the inputs, but I think also listening to your gut when you're hiring for your team is also really valuable as well. I think, at least for myself, I can talk myself into or out of certain things, but I think in my gut, I know what the right and wrong decisions are, and kind of listening to that and trusting myself in that process has been a great lesson that I have learned.
Definitely. And it can definitely help to trust other people's guts as well. There was a lot of mention of like panel hiring and just trying to get initial impressions. I'm sure that goes a really far way.
There's a lot of really smart people on my team. So yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Anybody else want to talk about their experiences hiring or some hard lessons learned? Yeah, AB, go for it. I'm not sure if I can hear you. Is that just me? There might be a problem with audio. Sorry, AB.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes. Hello.
Okay. I'm on 2 different apps within my phone, so I guess I had to unmute those places. Sorry. Yeah, for hiring lessons learned, I think we have a really decent process, and some of the items that I just had on the last slide are represented there. So for me, I think the biggest piece is learning as the years progress, the hires that I have made in collaboration with others, how those are going and where we have seen gaps and issues with some of those and how we might be able to catch what that gap was the next time around. So using it to refine our process. I think to just find the best fit from a culture perspective or, flexibility, work-life balance, whatever it might be, that just seems to be a little off. So it's kind of in just continuing to find based on what we've learned from hires that haven't been as successful as others.
Yeah, I love the idea of iteration and using examples or maybe like data essentially to understand how you can refine the process. And it's a process, which means it needs to be refined. I love it. Thank you for sharing. Moving on to the next one, we're talking strategy. So making things happen. A good strategy understands the crux of the problems it's trying to solve. It focuses a team's unique strengths, resources, and energy on what matters the most in achieving its goals. So in this, Julie talks a little bit about the dislike button, and I think this is a great anecdote talking about first principles thinking and the ways that it applies to all sorts of things, team strategy and management. Some people were requesting a dislike button on Facebook, and so Julie went and discovered that actually customers wanted to express one of a handful of emotions. That led them not to a dislike button, but to the reactions kind of buttons that we all know and love on Facebook. This let people kind of express a wider range of emotions while staying true to their mission. And in this, Julie takes away this one big lesson. In other words, start by understanding the bigger picture. What problems are you hoping to solve with what you're doing? Based on that, what are the most important priorities for the team right now? The question that I have for you after this is, what is the bigger picture for your team? If you had to kind of capture it, you could share that, or the importance of having a bigger picture in the first place. I can take two hands. Yep, Sunny, go for it.
On the previous team that I managed, we were a global team and not everybody's first language was English. And so one of our big action items for our team was how can we ensure that we're saying the same thing in regards to asking for what we need or offering up our strengths. And so we actually used Clifton Strength Finders as our universal language. And so that was like a big game changer because then as we looked at projects, we would be able to say, okay, what strengths do we need from Clifton Strength Finders for this project? And then team members felt even more confident whenever they would offer themselves up to help with projects as well. So I would say this example kind of speaks to language and how it can create team members. Whenever you have a universal language, team members to feel more confident to lean into the bigger picture or the harder project items.
Sorry, I have to go, Matt, but loved having you here. Bye. Okay, passing on. I think that was a great point, Sunny. And I love the idea of like shared diction, the way that we can kind of use phrases, language, and different types of vocabulary to really root ourselves in that bigger picture. I think that's fantastic. I thought I caught AB. Did you have your hand raised up and did you want to share? If not, that's okay too. Anybody else want to share on this topic? We'll move on to the next section, but yeah, big picture, super, super important. Okay, leading a growing team. When I first began managing, my team was only a handful of people, and then it doubled. Every few years, it doubled again. At each of those points, I felt like I had an entirely different job. While the core principles of management stayed the same, the day-to-day changed significantly. In this, Julie talks about what happened when she started really growing the team, and suddenly she was a manager of many more people. And she does a great job of outlining the difference between a small team and a big team. So with small teams, you're directly managing and having personal relationships with everyone. With a big team, you're indirectly managing and you're more so growing the managers underneath you. With a small team, you have a lot more honest feedback and direct conversations. With a big team, you have less upwards feedback and more of an increased power dynamic. Small teams, more deep work and focus. Big teams, a lot more context switching and a lot less time being able to get deeper in the weeds. Small team capable of finishing to-do lists, a big team increased pressure to prioritize, and if anything, rarely getting to the bottom of that to-do list. And finally, with a small team, it's really important to be a subject matter expert, whereas with a big team, actually managing people just becomes kind of this larger topic, and you could actually switch around the functions. It wouldn't really change that much of the day-to-day that you're doing. So with this in mind, I wanted to ask, what is currently the hardest thing about scaling management? This can apply if you're leading a big team or not yet doing so, but kind of anticipating the different changes. Any thoughts here? Yeah, go for it, Georgia.
I think going from having your eyes on everything and a really good understanding of, say, what the day-to-day is, what the good things are, and maybe what some of the problems are, to really having to maybe rely on a few kind of people, like people, direct reports to funnel that up to you is something that I've really kind of struggled with, like feeling like how far can I really stretch myself to have my eyes on everything, and kind of letting go of that and saying, okay, I can rely on certain feedback.
Yeah, definitely. And the idea that there's going to be blind spots can be super terrifying, especially if you've gotten super successful so far because you've been able to keep your eye on every moving object. So tough. Katie, go for it.
I think like many companies, we went through some layoffs last year. And so I'm almost doing a backward scaling where I had a team of 3 people managers and now it's just me. And I think the subject matter expert has been something we've been figuring out of. I came in with one subject expertise and now I'm picking up 2 more and how to continue to support a team while also picking up kind of the work and becoming a subject matter expert as we continue to expand the business.
I love that perspective. Thank you so much for sharing it, because I feel like a lot more people in this room and just in book club in general have been experiencing this interesting backwards movement that a lot of folks don't really talk about. So thank you for shining a light on it. Okay. Anybody else? For sake of time, I might move us forward into our next section, which is the workshop. So in chapter 10, we go over team culture, and Julie has some fantastic questions for reflecting on your culture and understanding the gaps with which you can improve. So I wanted to present those to you. We'll do a classic kind of reflection with it for a few minutes and then dive into breakout rooms so you can meet somebody else in the room, get to know a new friend, and also talk through this in detail. So I have a few questions here. Feel free to grab a pencil and paper or pen and paper or notebook app, something. And essentially, these are the questions that I'd love you to reflect on. What 3 words come to mind when describing the personality of your team? What recent moment made you proud to be part of your team and why? How similar is your culture to the broader organization? Those are about your team. And then pick 3 words that you want an observer to describe your team as. What 3 aspects of culture would you want to copy from other orgs? And what 3 aspects of culture would you not want to copy from other orgs? I'll let you sit with it for about 10 minutes and then we'll dive into the breakout rooms. Sorry, did I say 10 minutes? I meant 5. 5 minutes and then breakout rooms. Also, don't feel pressured to record down the questions. I'm going to throw that with you into the breakout room so you'll have it for reference. So mostly just focus on the answers. Alrighty, that puts us at time. You can actively talk through these questions, of course, inside your breakout rooms, but I just want to make sure that you have enough time to chat with your new friend. So I'm going to open up all the rooms. Feel free to go inside. You'll have 10 minutes, and then I'll pull you back out for the manager roundtable. All right, have the best of times.